Hello, welcome everyone to The Distraction. It's Thursday, where we talk wrestling, allegedly. I'm Jeremy Lambert, joined as always by the artistic ace analyst, Joseph Hulbert. Joe, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm not here to repeat any bits, but for the sake of the program, from this point forward, I am the Chubby Chief.
The Chubby Chief.
Yes, the.
All right, you want your name changed on the
I do.
little graphic here?
I would like you to sign off every show by acknowledging me as such, even though I assume you'll introduce me that way too. I would like it to be acknowledged. I will repeat it many times throughout the program. Get used to it. I am now the Chubby Chief.
I typed the Chief Chubby.
Also works. As long as you acknowledge me as some kind of chief, I am fine with that.
All right, the Chubby Chief. For a brief moment, you were the Chief Chubby.
That would be like also known as deal on the Wikipedia.
Yeah.
When they make all the documentaries and stuff, it would be like a trivia question.
We need our own Reddit subform, right? People have that stuff.
Yeah, I sense we're a few league tables away from that one, but we can do that, yes.
Come on.
I feel that's our mentions now, though, right? We're just like the 10 people that are like, hey, good show.
We got a hashtag. We're hashtag right there. Use it. Hashtag the distraction.
That's been like stolen too, right? So, it's tough. We're climbing uphill here, folks.
Everybody steals everything from us. That's just what happens. All right, everybody, let's get into wrestling because that's what you're here for, I think. We put 5 minutes on the clock. Remember, we're just already off topic. I was going through the DMs last night to find the 1 year anniversary of when I first messaged you, and I'll post this on the 1 year anniversary. But it legitimately says 5 minutes, keep it short, get in, get out. And we completely botched that within like 2 weeks.
Yeah, because I think we spoke about this on the show of Andrew, right? But the concept was that it was going to be like, literally like, Stephen A. Skip level hot takery was the idea. And then what happened was we started talking about Taylor Swift or something. I don't know where we got lost along the way. We now don't talk about wrestling, which is an interesting development. I'm not sure if people like it or not. Luckily, they never saw the original idea for the show, so they don't know. They don't know which they prefer. We'll never let them see it, I guess. I don't know.
No, we are. Remember? The year-end show is going to be what the original idea for this show was going to be. So get ready, everybody. If you don't quite understand what we're talking about, go listen to the Ready to Rumble review where we made Andrew Thompson of Post Wrestling very uncomfortable with the content there. What a show that was. I got great reviews. No one knew you guys existed.
Yes, you were the star there. We were just in the corners, right? But today we have a callback to that, and I must say I have a hot take on the Ready to Rumble follow-up, which we'll get to in about 2 hours once we get through the latest Taylor Swift work. But until then, we will also get to about wrestling, so let's do that.
All right, let's get into wrestling. Clash of Champions was on Sunday, the main event. Roman Reigns successfully defended the Universal title against Jey Uso. Jimmy Uso, according to Corey Graves. Jimmy Uso did make an appearance and threw in the towel for his brother. Joseph, you love this match. I really enjoyed this match, but this is artistically analyzed, this match for me.
Wow, this is going to be divisive, right, this match. It's very dialogue heavy. It is very theatrical, it's very dramatic. And it is, talking about like stylistically, almost everything I generally dislike in wrestling. With that being said, this is probably my favourite wrestling match. It's definitely my favourite match since we started doing this show. And we've been doing this show, I believe, for 41 years. So that would make this one of my all-time favourite matches. This, to me, is a classic, Jeremy. And here's the thing, and I'll explain why the stylistic choice has actually enhanced the match for me rather than hurting it. Firstly, I'm invested, right? Let's be clear. This match is almost made for me. I'm like the biggest Usos fan you'll find. I'm not into the whole dynamic. But more than that, it's the circumstances. We're in an empty building, okay? I hate to break it to everyone, but them Skype screens are not real fans. They are not reacting in real time. There is no heat you can get. I remember seeing...
They are reacting in real time.
Come on, stop. They're not. They're like just pulling faces. It's ridiculous. They can't even see anything. Just don't do it, Joe. It's terrible.
Have you been inside the Thunderdome, Joseph?
It's going to be like Bubba Ray and ECW. You can like shout at fans and stuff. Yeah, of course. Anyway, I'm not getting into that. Anyway, back to this match. So you have no fans, which allows you to do the dialogue stuff without it seeming overly contrived. But most importantly, not only do I believe these characters, but the dialogue was part of the story they were telling. It wasn't a case of guys breaking away from the match. The idea was we were getting an almost uncomfortable look at a family fight, or as Roman put it, family business, right? And rather than being a professional and just wrestling his cousin, Roman decided to make us feel as uncomfortable as possible and like make a show of how much he was beating up his cousin. Right, that was the idea. He was so in his comfort zone that he brought us in. That's why he was looking directly at the camera, pointing Jey at the camera, all that good stuff. I just thought this was a masterpiece. I really did. All of these guys, they're so authentic. I believe all of them. And Jimmy, his little cameo there, I thought was incredible. Like he was so great capturing the emotion. Going into this, I wanted a match that I'd be able to point to in 10, 15 years and say that's how good the Usos were as individual wrestlers. Obviously, I know I'm like pairing them just by saying it that way, right? But that's what I'm getting at. I got that and 10 times more. It was much more than I thought it would be, and it's a match I will genuinely remember forever. One of my favourite matches.
I love this match because there was the actual, like, there was a fantastic story going into it. And there was actual emotion and investment into this as well. Mm-hmm. There's a million matches where they do cool moves, and it's a great straight wrestling match, or whatever. I've said it many times, and you pointed this out as well on Twitter. Like, my favorite Hell in a Cell match, maybe not of all time, but certainly like in recent memory, is Usos against New Day, because that feud was so great. Just the emotion that went into it was fantastic. It felt like a real Hell in a Cell match, and not just it's our annual Hell in a Cell pay-per-view. Like, it felt like there was a reason behind that. I know a lot of people, you mentioned that it was a divisive match because a lot of people just don't always like the talking during matches and stuff. Like, we don't like it during Gargano and Ciampa and things like that. It's a little over dramatic there. This never felt over dramatic to that level. We didn't have Jey staring at his hands being like, what's going on? Why is he doing this to me? And stuff. Like, this felt like a real conflict between these two men with real emotion and reasoning of why this stuff was happening, compared to something like Randy Orton and Edge, where they're just walking around the Performance Center hitting each other with stuff the entire time.
Right. So this is where it gets interesting. Is like, they definitely would go in with like a film fight scene approach at times. Like, it's very Rocky IV, right? The ending where he's like holding poor Jey in his hands. Jimmy is like over it. And, you know, it was definitely theatrical, but I think the key that separates it from a Gargano Ciampa is that those matches are done as though there is no camera. Like, you know the match, the final heartbeat thing that they did that we reviewed 19 years ago? That, they did that spot where they like held hands. Remember that?
Yeah.
And the idea was like, this is, no one is seeing this. They're just fighting for the sake of a fight. Like, it's at that point you're becoming very theatrical to an extent that I can't kind of get into. Not only is this better because they're better at it, to be quite frank, I believe them far more, which I don't think is a knock on the other guys. It's more a praise of them. But I just think it is important, you know, in fear of repeating myself, I think it is important that we were like a character here. It was made very clear to us that Roman wanted him to be acknowledged. Wanted them to acknowledge him because this is what it was, right? He challenged him on the grandest stage. How dare he challenge him as the head of the table? Do they sometimes beat points into the ground? Yeah, they do. You know, I'm not going to... If that was too much for you, that's fine. I get why it's divisive. But for me, as someone who's invested in the story, it was sublime. And the one thing I did want to say, you mentioned Hell in a Cell. It's time... I'm not saying they're underrated or anything like that, but it's time to, like, get what the Usos are. Like, this is an all-time team. Like, I almost am at a point where I think it's disrespectful to just be like, yeah, they're like one of the best WWE teams. I think if you've not got them in the top three, I think it's time for us to have a fist fight. That's what I'm saying. Okay, this is time to accept the Usos are all-time special, and this was like a little glance at what they both could be individually, because they're just great pro wrestlers. It's a very special act.
The Usos are always going to be knocked because just WWE doesn't care about this division.
Right.
And that is unfortunate because not only are they great wrestlers, they are great storytellers as well. And we saw that in this feud. Yep. Again, the New Day stuff is some of my favorite stuff WWE's like ever done with their tag division. So I'm with you. Where do you think this goes now? Because like Roman's beat Jey, Jimmy's there. I don't know when Jimmy's gonna actually be cleared to return. It doesn't seem like that's anytime soon. We know WWE is bad at ending storylines, and we'll get to that in a second. Like, did they just kind of keep running with this?
I mean, I don't think they can, but they might. It seems like they want to do him and Bray sooner rather than later, which I hate to say. I mean, I have a lot of faith in Roman as a performer, and I think the heel stuff is great already. But that is a little bit of an emergency one to me, where it's like that could go terribly wrong. You know, like, I don't want Roman selling for the clown hammer and all that good stuff. But Alexa staring at Roman, was that last week, Jeremy?
Yeah, that was last Friday.
That is either like something that they're hinting at for way down the line, or it's something we're getting ahead of ourselves. So then you have to ask yourself, what would you rather it be? Because I would rather not have 6 months of like, you know, teasing a Roman Reigns Bray Wyatt match. So I'm kind of cool with that. So
wait, Reigns and Bray. I thought we were building to Alexa and Roman.
Right, good point. I mean, I'd be more interested in that as the WrestleMania match. It just feels to me we're going to go ahead and sell Fiend and Reigns, and how you deal with that physically, like who's on offense, I don't know. That's for them. That's for their bridge to cross, right? But I will say that Alexa and Heyman is like kind of fun, right? That could be a fun dynamic, because I assume Alexa will be with Bray sooner rather than later. So there's something, I guess. Either way, Roman as heel champ is already the best thing in the whole promotion by like 10 miles, right?
Yeah,
so I'm positive. Yeah, I'm optimistic.
They have these pieces here to put into place. The problem is, like, these pieces have been chewed up so much that they don't fit the way you would hope they would fit. Like, they did so much damage with Bray last year, and then even earlier this year, and even the Braun Strowman stuff. And they've changed course with Roman, and it's great. Don't get me wrong. This Roman direction is fantastic. But they changed course so much with him with this new character that it's like Bray and Roman don't actually fit together right now. Like, there's Strowman, who is just, I guess, out of the picture now. Like, I actually think Strowman works better as a challenger for Roman right now than Bray does.
It's very hard because whatever you do, you're kind of muddying the waters, right? Because what's interesting about the Roman Reigns character is that there was a great moment in the match where Heyman almost tried to save Jey Uso. And he was like, "You are my tribal." You know, when he did the big speech?
Yeah.
Roman was like, "I have no interest in anything you say, Paul. So please stop." To which I say, very mean, but I understand it. I've heard the podcast. But nonetheless, that makes Roman like the furthest on the heel radar as you can be in WWE. Like, he's more evil than Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman is scared of Roman Reigns. He doesn't know what he's capable of. He just nearly killed his cousin on pay-per-view. It's like, this guy's far. But then it's like, okay, sure, but like, is Bray Wyatt or Braun Strowman, are they really the baby faces to like highlight that? Like, it's just, because I don't care what anyone says, man, the Bray character is a heel character. Like, he's literally possessed a female babyface. He's a heel. I refuse any, kind of insight otherwise. So, I don't know what they do. I guess this is where the draft could be useful, right? If they can get some baby, I mean, they haven't really got any, but if you could get, even if it's a Keith Lee, I know people are going to roll their eyes because Keith Lee, they don't want him to lose so quick, but like, just a clean babyface who hasn't been beaten to the ground, just so we can continue as we're going. Because guys like Bray and Braun, it gets a lot tougher to set up, I think.
I mean, this is where you have Big E, who wasn't on television last week, wasn't on the pay-per-view. You have Kofi. I don't know when Kofi's supposed to be back. They said 6 weeks, and that was 12 weeks ago. So Kofi should be back at any point. I don't know if Kofi like has a legitimate injury is the thing. I almost think that his injury was just take time off, cool, or heat up Big E for a singles run, which they've done nothing with. He had the good match against Sheamus, and that's like it. But like, Kofi would be the perfect babyface in that spot to highlight Roman Reigns more. And, you know, if they can do that, great. If they can do Big E, great. I'm with you that like Braun isn't the babyface to do that. Bray, not the babyface to do it. Jeff Hardy, maybe. Over on Raw, like Keith Lee, you said him. I'm really struggling to think of another like pure babyface where you can get invested in and be like, yeah, this is a good choice here. I mean, they're not moving Drew over, so like that's out. But
I mean, one name who they've really failed to capitalize on, who I think isn't a pure babyface, but because of what his character is, could work, is Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
I would love to see Kevin Owens get moved and get like featured again, because quite frankly, the current stuff he's doing with Aleister Black is like a waste of both men, but a colossal waste of Owens, right? Like it's so prelim to me, and he's better than that. So that could work, right? There's options. They're just not particularly like exciting ones because of where guys are on the card, I guess.
Yeah. Anything else from Clash of Champions to discuss?
Well, the ladder match, right? I mean, the triple threat ladder match was as advertised. I mean, what was interesting about it was we spoke last week about will it be more story, character, or stunt? And interesting enough, they had enough time to do both, didn't they, really? Like, Sammy really did great character stuff, as I hoped, including the Jeff Hardy. Jeff is insane. I don't even know.
That man is nuts. Absolutely nuts.
My takeaway was I was watching it and I was like, Jeff would do this regardless, right? Like, he'd be doing this somewhere. So good thing he's doing it in WWE and getting paid well, I guess, right? Like, is that the only take to have for Jeff? Like, he is what he is. But I thought it was neat that they had enough time to have, like, cool character moments, some images and visuals I'll remember forever. But also, they did the insane stunt stuff that they are all far too old and smart to be doing. Like, good lord, guys. At some point, but that's what they're going to do. So, great match. I mean, I was seeing takes that, like, it was the best. People think it's one of the all-time ladder matches, and I am, frankly, not educated enough on them to tell you if it is, because they all run together for me. I sense this one I will actually remember. So I guess on default alone, this is one of the better ladder matches, right? What are we thinking here, Jeremy? All-time ladder match?
People ask me if this was, like, the best Jeff Hardy match, singles match, that I'd ever seen. Like, I don't recall enough Jeff Hardy singles matches to
like on his
remember.
Own?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, not tag team. I mean, this was obviously a triple threat match, but just not tag team. Like, the Undertaker ladder match was great. I feel like some of the Punk stuff was good. But, like, I don't remember that many Jeff Hardy singles matches to where I could be like, yeah, this was definitively better. So I just assumed this was definitively better than all of that stuff. It's AJ's best match in a while. I feel like it's Sammy's. Like, it's got to be Sammy's best, some of his best stuff outside of, like, working with Owens, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is, but, like, it's the equivalent of saying it's the guy's best game after they haven't played for a couple of years. Like, even when Sammy was wrestling, it was like, he was wrestling like he was Bobby Heenan, Like, it's very, I get you, though.
Right, like, this is the thing, though, is, like, a lot of this stuff does run together to where I don't, and there's just so many, like, okay, that was really good, but, like, was it great? Like, this was a great ladder match, a great performance by all three men. So that's why it stands out. And I'll remember it compared to, dude, they've had 500 empty arena ladder matches. Remember, this is my complaint last week, is, like, I'm tired of empty arena ladder matches. I'm still tired of them. At least this one was very good. This was probably the best one they've done in the empty arena. I don't recall the other ones. There was the Mania one. There was AEW did one. NXT's done like 3, I feel like.
It's the best one.
Yeah, it's the best one. But stop doing them. Christ.
A couple questions. Is this... You said it was AJ's best match in a while. Is this better than the match he had with Daniel Bryan that went 12 ad breaks?
I never saw it.
Oh, okay.
Dude, I was on vacation that week, and I never went back to watch it.
It was long, so I get it. But, okay, I'll pivot off that, because I had a hot take on Twitter that got me in trouble. I'm going back to our last topic. It was that Roman Reigns' best match.
I was asked about that as well, and the only one that I'm like, all right, this is up there with it, was the AJ match from Extreme Rules.
Right.
And this is no knock on Roman. Like, Roman's had a lot of very good matches. Like, the Brock matches are good. I think the Braun matches are underrated. But, yeah, this one I'll certainly remember more than anything else I can think of.
Everyone was saying to me the AJ match, and I need to rewatch it. I think you're probably right, but I think the reason I look at it differently is I very much frame that as, like, the AJ Styles match, because to me that's when he, like, convinced WWE that he was, like, the guy, Right. And it was like, okay. So I look at it a certain way, and I haven't watched it in a long time, so it might be wrong, but I feel like Roman is just so much better now than he was then. Like, even though he was good then, very good. I mean, I like the original Brock match, but then you have the Seth cash-in, which just naturally steals it of, like, a a climax within that match, right? So I think it's up there, definitely. Clash of Champions. Anything else, Jeremy? Clash of Champions. Am I missing something? Was you excited when Asuka answered the call? She never answers any calls for Bayley, right? That was fun.
That was so dumb. Just having Asuka
Yeah.
come out there. Like, you couldn't do anybody else and just have Bayley beat that person. Like, Bayley's beating everybody anyway, so somebody can take a sacrifice loss here. Like, you didn't have to do Asuka and then do a DQ. It was all a vehicle just to do the Sasha Banks stuff, so I get it.
That.
Yeah.
Just do the angle. That's my thing. I was like, I mean, I get it from the perspective of, like, there's a level of female you were going to beat in that spot that would have meant nothing anyway. So, like, I do get it. Like, obviously we know that Dana went on to do the stuff on Raw, but if Dana had walked out, what would we have all reacted like, right? It would have been like, oh, it wouldn't have been a big reaction. Oh my God, it's Dana Brooke. So I understand it. It just felt it was like, oh my God, I put on the same episode of a TV show.
Should have done Peyton Royce and then put the title on Peyton Royce. That's what Michael Thompson was pushing for.
We would have had to get him back on it immediately for that. He's like, I called it. Number one draft pick. Okay, what else was on the show? Help me here.
You're right, though, that with that, like, they should have just done Sasha's music plays, Bayley gets freaked out, Sasha attacks her from behind, and that's that. Yes.
This is very unprofessional, Jeremy. Do we have a lot of wrestling topics left? Because I would like to do some Bayley legit boss talk.
We've got the two topics you want to... The callbacks to February. We're back in February with our bits today.
I'm breaking format. One of the topics will be covered now in the next 10 seconds. Bobby Roode is back and had a really good match on Raw. Check it out. Anyway, back to the legit boss and Bayley. I wanted to talk about this. I forgot. Is this story...
I'm putting 5 minutes on you for this.
Okay. Like a fine, like a ban.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this story actually good? Or is the idea of the match good? I have been discussing this privately with pretty big fans of parties involved that would never dare say this publicly because it's very scary times on the Twitter. But, like, is this stuff, like, actually good? Or is it now just sort of like, okay, it's kind of fallen into pattern almost? I don't know.
I think it was good, and then it dragged because... I'm assuming their plan was SummerSlam, and that just got ruined because they didn't have fans. But it dragged past that. And, I mean, it didn't drag too long past SummerSlam, but the turn would have happened a month and a half earlier. Anyway, it was good. It dragged, and now it's gotten kind of stupid and just... But this is their presentation, though. Like, this is their presentation. She literally gets her a chair snapped on her neck, like stomped down on her neck, and then she's just back 2 weeks later. I mean, she's clearly hurting. She had a neck brace. She's grabbing at a Joe. I don't know if you noticed that. That's very, very great storytelling there. Very great selling. She kept grabbing at it to let you know, oh, this hurts right here. This hurts. But she was still moving and acting and performing like a normal person who had no actual neck issues. And then it looks like they're going to do Hell in a Cell, which is fine. I understand that. You can't complain that, like, why aren't they holding this off when they've been holding this off for like 5 years now? But they could do more out of it if they actually looked into it more long term of this. I think it's okay. And then the match is kind of the big selling point right now.
I definitely don't think it's bad, and it's a case of, like, you know, for some people, not being bad makes it good because they're into it. Same as me with the Usos deal. Like, I'm not saying it's terrible. My take is, for the sake of the story and most importantly the character, the legit boss, Sasha Banks, I think it is important that she loses at Hell in a Cell. Wait, do not block me. I have a take. Then I would do it the Survivor Series, Team Banks versus Team Bayley. Why, Joe? Well, very simple. While Banks tries to put her team together, you could really shine a light on her character actually having to change. Her realising that she was blinded by her friendship with Bayley, that she acted like an idiot, she was mean, she was a bully, and righting her wrongs to form a Survivor Series team, which then steadies her ship, sets her up to face Bayley in a TLC match in December and winning the title. And then you can do a trilogy if you want at the Rumble. I personally don't have any interest, this is just me, in doing the deal of splitting them in the draft at this point. I know we spoke about this recently. and then having her win the Rumble and all that stuff. Because then, to me, it's like another 6 months of Bayley title defenses we all know the result of almost. Right? Does that make sense? It's like you're just delaying constantly. So, but I think the key for me, as someone who's not invested just on the idea of watching these two wrestle, the key for me is, can we establish that Banks realises she needs to change as a person? Because she was an awful human as a heel, right? And that was why it worked. We need to get sympathy on her in a way that works without making her any less of a badass, basically. And I'm interested if they'll do that, or they just say, she's a babyface now, deal with it. That'll be my big thing.
They're gonna do the latter. It's just she's gonna be Sasha Banks, the boss,
legit boss.
Yeah, but she's a babyface because Bayley turned on her. I have no faith that they can write a character like that. Like they do it with Reigns, and Reigns has the cachet to do it. Banks should. I just don't think they're gonna actually do it, and I don't know how much pull Banks kind of has with that kind of stuff. She might be pitching it, but WWE's just gonna be like no, and I just don't have faith they're gonna do anything like that, Joe.
I get you. For me, as someone who thinks that she's a great wrestler, but has always struggled with the character as a babyface, that issue would be times by like 100 if they did it that way. Does that make sense? Like I would love for them to kind of actually develop a character. Because, by the way, this isn't a Banks thing. They did the exact same thing with Alexa Bliss, right? Whereas, like, she's a babyface now. She smiles. Don't you see that she's
friends
smiling
with Nikki
now? But that's the thing. They could have... This is the worst part. Is in that case, they had it, like, lobbed to them. Because the whole Nikki thing allowed them to actually tell a story they didn't want to tell. So, I am concerned, because my concern is that she'll win the belt, and then it'll be like, oh, but Banks as a babyface is nothing, because we have never given it a chance to be anything. You know, and that's... I could just see it being one of those title reigns where after like 2 months, you know, the Wrestle Talk accounts, not the actual Wrestle Talk, like just the, you know, at WrestleChatter.com, they'll be like, anyone not filling the Banks title reign, and people are like, yeah, it's bland, bad promo. It'll all start again. I don't want that. I would like it to be good this time, and she could defend it a few times. So I would like the character to change. That's all, Jeremy. I'm probably in lots of trouble for this take.
Is Wrestle Chatter? Can you get that Twitter account? I feel like that would be a good account. Is there an account called Wrestle Chatter?
I'm going to find out live right now on air. Did I say Wrestle Chatter?
Yeah, Wrestle Chatter.
Abandon this bit. Yes, I can. I can get Wrestle Chatter.
All right.
No, I cannot. There is a Wrestle Chat. This was not aimed at you, Wrestle Chat. I don't know who you are. Everyone knows what I mean, right? It'll be like their picture right now will be like, I don't know, Moxley or someone on the PWI cover. They have like 50,000 followers. I don't know how. I'm just trying. That's all I'm saying.
Let's create this account. After this show, I'm going to create the Wrestle. If I can't get Chatter with ER, I'll just do A, because since that's kind of the British term for it, I guess. I don't know. Chatter.
Too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like down with the kids too. That'd be really good. I like it. I like what we're cooking here. We have other wrestling topics, don't we? I'm sorry. I've taken the show off the rails.
Yeah, you want to talk Banks and Bayley. I'm sick of talking about Banks and Bayley.
You do SmackDown, though. You have to talk about these things.
I know. That's why I'm sick of talking about Banks. The problem is like, I like SmackDown. It's actually a good show most of the time. But then I do the post show on Fridays. I come on here. I pass the ball to you, let you go to work, because everyone's heard my opinions on this stuff. And then Raw sucks, so I don't even want to talk about Raw. And NXT is banned. AEW's fine, like it's a good show. But the best stuff is on SmackDown for WWE wise, and I've already talked about that stuff.
Did you enjoy the? Can we give credit to the WWE makeup team that gets nothing but dunked on for managing to prepare Alexa Bliss's hair in a way that it would look insane after like 8 minutes of a rest hold from ACL? Can we give him credit? I don't know if you did or didn't, but that was pretty cool, I thought, I must say.
Your guy Bobby Roode returned on Raw.
Yeah, good match.
Go ahead. All right, that's it.
So I've got.
All right.
It was spoiled for me. No one was talking about it. It was a triumphant moment that everyone ruined. And
why was it ruined, Joseph? Why was it ruined?
There was a lot of Twitter controversy I woke to, and I saw nothing about Bob Roode. And then I just got like one spoiler. I was like, oh, so I don't even get the excitement of it, right? I get no praise nor excitement. No one felt the need to point out that was legitimately Bobby Roode's first match in 6 months.
Yes.
Just an excellent WCW Saturday Night main event. Terrific match. I loved it. Bobby and Dolph are a legit good team. Put the belts on them, please. That's all.
They should at least be a tag team. They'll be a tag team for 3 months. They'll win the belts. They'll fight. They'll split up. And Bobby Roode. This is the Bayley Banks program. Do it the whole thing over again, but do it with Roode and Ziggler. I'm talking the title wins as well. If you want to do Intercontinental US title instead of World title, that's fine. But do the whole, yes, I agree. Do the whole Banks Bayley program with Roode and Ziggler. That's my pitch.
What is this point? I guess Roode's absence is the same as the one that Banks had last year. Not in reason. I'm just saying, like in the timeline. Right. What we're saying.
Right.
Because they had a tag title reign before that, like Banks and Bayley. This is very strong. We need to work on that. This is a whole other TW series in itself. But yes, that sounds good. James Storm was going to come back. Scoop. We saw that coming.
I don't know how much I believe that.
Hey, look, I don't know. All I know is if I had tweeted an hour before that story broke, how did everyone feel about James Storm coming back? Every WWE fan would be like, the worst idea ever, please delete your account. And then it came out and people were like, well, sorry about our damn luck. I don't know. It was fun. I like James Storm. I hope he gets that money for doing God only knows what on Monday Night Raw. But yes, moving on.
Anything else on Raw? Did you like Randy Orton? Goggle Vision, Night Vision, Randy Orton beating up people? Michael Cole did not know what was going on in this segment.
It wasn't Michael Cole, was it?
Oh, whoever Vic Joseph, whatever the Raw announcer is, I don't know.
Oh, wow, this is disrespectful. Wasn't it Tom?
Was it Tom? Sure. I don't know these announcers. If it ain't Samoa Joe, I'm not paying attention to the person.
The bit itself wasn't even the funniest part. It was Randy disguising himself after he left and going, like, doing the point thing. Oh, it was terrible, wasn't it? I mean, I can't... All of it's terrible. I mean, we haven't even done the Seth Ray stuff, but it's
my God.
Like, I watched that, and I legit didn't know who it was for. Like, I had no... So, we're going to get into this now, because I want to do it. So, I messaged you this on Tuesday morning, and I was like, is the angle that he's grooming her?
Like, yeah, I think so.
But, like, is it? Because
I don't know. No, that's not their intention, obviously. I hope not, anyway.
Just your interpretation.
Yeah, but the angle is just like a 32-year-old likes a 19-year-old, which it's
right. But he's like, okay, this is.
Wait, who's grooming who? Is Seth grooming Aalyah by using Buddy?
I mean, it isn't grooming because I think the idea is that Buddy like legit.
Yeah, Buddy legitimately just like likes her.
He hasn't got an age, the Buddy Murphy character. This is the thing. This is the vow that they'll use. Is like she constantly says she's 19, so that Bruce is ensuring we know she's an adult, and they never mention Buddy's age.
Buddy's like 20, 25, I think, right?
Yes. Yeah. So it's supposed to just be wholesome, I think.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's never anyone's place to tell others what they should be comfortable or uncomfortable with. So I'm not going to do that. What I will say is, there's a way of doing this that didn't include screenshots of DMs and texts. And, like, it would have been easy to do it that way. Bold move choosing that way. I'm not saying it offends me or anything. I'm just saying I get why people are like, really, guys? Like, this is what we're going to do here? Especially when no one's asked for it. No one wants more of Seth, Dominic. Just do Seth and Buddy. Can we please move on with this? So this
is the thing. They don't know how to end feuds. Like this Rollins and Mysterio feud has been going on for months and months. Street Profits and I don't know what they're doing now. Who are they facing? I don't know. Garza and Andrade stuff. I guess they just like Garza got hurt unfortunately. But Andrade is probably just gonna be like nobody. Asuka and Zelina. It's like all right, you beat her at the pay-per-view. Do a rematch on Raw. Beat her again. We'll probably do another rematch on Raw next week. Like, Raw next week is going to feel... I think even SmackDown tomorrow night might feel this way, too. Because the draft is next Friday. So you have two shows. You have a SmackDown and a Raw before the draft. I don't think they're going to do much on these shows. It's just going to be more rematch shit. Because it's like, oh, don't worry, the draft is coming next week. We'll shake things up. And then that's when we'll start new programs. Like, this is their way to start new programs. Is just... do a draft because they can't actually end programs despite
I'm not complaining at this point, right? I'm
No,
sure you're the
it's
same.
fine,
I'm so ready
but
for a draft.
it's still just in like even Orton and McIntyre, like why is this feud continuing?
Right. Well, that's interesting because it's like the idea I assumed was that was kind of the sort of the fairy tale ending of like all of Randy's sins catching up to him. I thought he'd go away for a little bit. What actually it was we're not ready to put the belt on Randy, but we want to get another match out of this, so we need to give him an out. And I was like, man, that feels like the end of the angle to me. You know, like I don't know. I actually liked the ambulance match. I sense I'm kind of in the minority. I don't know. I thought it was fun, but it is an issue. Things just go on forever. Now, what will be interesting with the draft, Jeremy, is that this is actually called like a draft, right? It isn't the shake-up deal again.
Yeah, but they always call it just a draft, even though it's a shake-up.
No, but when they initially... Remember when they first did a draft again? Like in 2016?
Yeah.
When the SmackDown... After that, the idea was that you couldn't like do a full draft. That'd be done, right? So you just switch 20 guys on each roster. Perfect sense. And now, when they framed it as a draft, I just was left pondering. I agree with you. It probably means nothing, and they probably just doesn't like the shake-up term again. But if they actually just do a full draft, that would be kind of insane, right? Like, why would you start fresh every year? I don't know. It's just I'm throwing it out there.
No, I think it's just going to be
A shake-up.
Yeah, I think it's just a shake-up, but they're just calling it a draft.
Okay.
I have no idea how this stuff works. You know, this is where we're needed to be like, all right, you have Raw, you have SmackDown, USA, Fox, whoever, Adam Pearce. I don't know who the general manager of these shows are. I guess Adam Pearce is just overseeing everything.
Silver, basically.
Yeah, exactly. But here's what you do, is if you're going to call it a draft, like, why wouldn't USA Network just be like, hey, give us Roman. Like, we're taking Roman. Like, this is where Fox has got to be like, all right, we get 5 people we can protect. You know what I mean? It's like a expansion draft almost. Is like you get 8 guys, 5 to 8 guys you protect. They can't be drafted, and then the other team, the other brand has 5-8 picks, whatever, and then they just pick from the brand. Obviously, they can't pick the people who are protected. Like, that's the way to do it if you're doing a draft. They're not going to do that. They're just going to be like, hit the button on the screen, and then all the names flash, all the faces flash. No whammies, and then the Miz comes to Raw or some shit.
I've got to say, man, I would have like a whole universe. But I would have contracts.
Oh yeah.
I'd have a trade deadline. I'd have it on .com how long was left on like a guy's contract with a brand, and like fans that are in that deep. It's always cool when you give people enough layers, Jeremy, that like a hardcore fan could actually get into the idea of their wrestler leaving a brand or something. I mean, that would be super inside baseball. But if you know me, you'd probably believe I would do this.
This is what they did in the SmackDown vs. Raw whatever game, like the general manager mode. Like, yeah. This is what they did. You do contracts. You have guys, you steal them from the other brand. Their contract is expiring. Mm-hmm. Okay, you make an offer. Like, you can do this in a real sports kind of way that doesn't have to take away from the on-screen product, but just at least have you make sense of things instead of Dana Brooke's on Raw now. The draft is next fucking week. We cannot wait an entire week. Dana Brooke is just on Raw.
Yes, future draft considerations, I assume.
So stupid. Like, it's not difficult to do this stuff.
You could do it as such that the trade deadline was like it fell on the Raw. So like anyone could come out that night and it would be like, while they're coming out, we get the news that they've been traded for this, that. It could be fun, that's all. But I'm with you. Yeah, the Mandy Dana thing is very odd. SmackDown has like 4 women left standing, right? Like, what's happening on SmackDown?
Mandy wins this big match against Sonya, and then she's just randomly traded to Raw. They're just dropping the whole Otis Mandy stuff. That's just done. I mean, sure, it's fine. I wasn't like super invested into it anyway, but like, this is why people don't get invested though, Joe, is because they just drop everything.
I get it, but I think there's real reservation. I don't know this. This is not a scoop, believe it or not. I think there's real reservations about like what Mandy is as a singles wrestler. Like, I just do. I mean, it was pretty obvious to me that they could do her and Bayley, especially with Naomi out, right? And instead now she appears to be in a tag team with Dana. I'm no expert. I would just suggest that tells us something. If that makes any, do you know what I'm saying? Like it seems like they've kind of taken something from that Sonya feud, and you might see
I
that play out.
I agree with you, but like if you're gonna have Mandy win this big singles match,
Right.
then
Yeah.
just to move her over to Raw and then just have her be in a tag team with Dana, it's just
hmm
like it makes things not matter,
Yeah.
and
It
that's
definitely
like
it
that's the
limits
issue.
the feud's impact when the loser is leaving for a while anyway, for obviously reasons out of control. But like, and then the winner is left as well, just because you haven't got enough. Like, it very much means that in a year, it feels like that we're going to look back and say, "Oh, I remember they did that feud for ages." It is weird. I agree with you 100%. I mean, I don't know if the Dana Mandy thing is like an actual team, but if it is, that definitely feels like they're telling you they're not ready to kind of commit to a Mandy singles run. Wouldn't you agree?
I guess if that's their explanation, fine. Again, it just makes your television seem like it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah.
just try something else with Mandy. Like at least do the Bayley match because at least she's coming off of a victory. Bayley can I think Bayley can get something passable out of her.
Yeah, no, I think you'll be fine. I don't know why they
And
would
it's not
stop
like
there.
you gotta. This is the other issue is like, all right, you say do a Bayley and Mandy match. They can't do it just once. Like they legitimately could just do one pay per
Yeah,
view match. That's it. It's like, all right,
yes.
Mandy has one pay per view match. Mandy's a little rough. Bayley does her thing, fine. Then you move Mandy on to something else. You do the tag team thing, whatever. But they would have to do this match like 3 times, and then you
Right.
would just see like, oh yeah, this stuff isn't that great. Like that's the other issue. It's just like you can do these matches just once. You don't have to do Asuka and Zelina 5 times in a week. You can do it just once and it'll be okay.
Zelina is interesting. I want to go back to that briefly, but the one thing I would say is that I that is not my take. Like I don't think Mandy's ready to be like champ, but when you've made me watch 18 months of singles Lacey Evans matches, like I'm fine with watching a month of Mandy Rose ones. Like I have no problem. Zelina's interesting in that she's like actually good, and this may be a me thing, I don't know, but I just feel like her physical presence is so much stronger as a manager, and I have no clue why. Like she's a very small woman, but her charisma is such that she kind of like when she's next to Andrade, even Gaza, she's the star to me. When she's just another wrestler, it's less so, even though I think she's legit good. I don't know. Does that make any sense, Jeremy? Am I alone on this? I'm not
I
sure.
get what you're saying. I think it's probably because that's just the way she's been positioned the whole time.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
if they'd positioned her prior to that, like as a wrestler, I think we would see her a little bit differently. But because she's been positioned as a manager the whole time, and she does come off as the star next to Andrade and Garza.
hmm
But if she was just a wrestler straight from the jump, we would probably see her differently.
I agree. Yeah, it's hard to overcome that because every time she's been used as a wrestler, it's just to get beaten up, right? So
Right.
it is difficult. I agree.
They got Bianca Belair. She's did you see her
Yes.
running hurdles, Joe? I don't think she could actually do that with the hair like that. I don't think that's possible.
So I understand what you're going for here, but the issue is I have never heard the original bit, so I cannot replicate said bit. But I will say that I have no idea, like what they're supposed to accomplish. I'm just personally, I am so out on the WWE slow build because I don't think it ever works. Like I would legit rather they do the Keith Lee. I'm being honest, serious here. The thing where they come, it's like we've got to protect them. They're new. So let's just not let them wrestle or have them win pointless matches and do bad vignettes. I would rather they just wrestle top talent and lose in good matches. I really would.
You know when Mr. Perfect
Yes.
did shot the basketball, made all those shots and stuff.
Yeah.
With how sweaty he was, I don't think he could actually do that. Like if you put him next to Steph Curry, Steph Curry's beating him in a shooting contest.
Really? Is that your hot take?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah, I agree. I appreciate that you continue with the aforementioned bit. I will leave it there. I have nothing to add, but I agree that yes, Steph Curry would beat Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig in a shooting contest. I agree. Yes.
This Bianca stuff, it's bad. I mean, it's fine. Like you're trying to establish who she is. She has been on Raw since WrestleMania. And the announcers are like, can't wait to see what Bianca Belair brings to the table. It's like, you've had 6 months to do something with her to show what she brings to the table, and you're just now just doing these vignettes and stuff.
She could have had a 20-minute match with Asuka at the pay-per-view, and it would have, with the modern audience, it would have got her as over as what they are. Those vignettes. Like, I'm sorry, that's just what the landscape is now. Like, Keith Lee, there's issues there with the presentation, the fact all those matches had, like, you know, dumb finishes. I get that. But in terms of just dropping him in and being like, here's what you can do, I would rather that than him do 3-minute squash matches until they forget about him. Aleister Black being like the prime. He's the best example of that, right? It was like, we've got to protect Aleister Black. We can't just beat Aleister Black. So let's just have him do nothing matches for a year until everyone forgets about him anyway. Like, it's a real problem, because the issue is they've strived for like the old school approach with these vignettes, but the TV is so different now. You know, back when they were airing those Mr. Perfect vignettes, you wasn't getting a show that had 6 50-50 matches on it that went 20 minutes, right? Everyone was doing squashes, and it was like, people were patient. It's just very different to me. So I hope it works out for her, because I think she's great. I just have no optimism that those vignettes are the sign of the answer, I guess is my point.
And it's the thing, like, we know how good she is. We saw her in NXT.
Right.
This is the other thing of, like, there's the disconnect. Vince thinks that whatever you saw in NXT doesn't matter. I mean, look at Retribution. Like, they just...
Yeah, it's strange. It is strange.
So it just doesn't matter. Like, the NXT thing, whatever you saw in NXT doesn't count, doesn't exist. Who cares? And that's basically what they're telling us with Bel-Air. Again, it's like, hey, look how strong she is. Look how fast she is. It's like, yeah, we know all this stuff. Like, we have social media. We watch NXT. Like, it's dumb. Let's move on to AEW.
Yes.
They're celebrating 30 years of Chris Jericho next week. Chris Jericho's big idea for the 30-year celebration is he just wants to do a match with his best friend Luther. Japanese Deathmatch Legend Luther. I respect the hell out of this move by Chris Jericho.
You're wrong. You shouldn't respect it. You should be shaming the Chris for his cowardice. How dare he enter the ring with the original Death Dealer, Japanese Deathmatch Legend Luther, in just an ordinary tag match with rules.
That's fair.
Do a death match with a man if you want to fight him, okay? Coward. Taking blind shots at him at ringside. Why don't you do a death match? Lights out. That's what I say, Jeremy. Let's do a lights out on the 30th year anniversary. Anything less to me, like, I've already, as a Luther supporter, I'm checked out already. Just like, look, man, my guy's got very little chance here, right? It's like putting a kickboxer in a jiu-jitsu contest. This isn't his game. He needs barbed wire. He needs blood. Chris is a coward. That's what I'm saying.
All right, you've convinced me with that. Yes. I no longer respect Chris Jericho for his approach here. 30 years down the drain. Luther's been kicking his ass behind the scenes for 30 years. We all know it.
Yes.
And now, yeah, Jericho's like, all right, well, let's just do this tag. He's got Jake Hager, an actual MMA fighter, Jake Hager with him, who will knee people in the balls with no remorse. And Jericho won't fight his own battle. So I'm with you. Chris Jericho is wrong. No respect.
When you said that he's been beating him up for 30 years, all I could think was the idea of Luther and Jericho doing the exact beat-for-beat Reigns Jey Uso match. And instead, Luther is just saying, acknowledge me as the Japanese Deathmatch Legend. Acknowledge me as the original Death Dealer. And, like, Jake Hager is Jimmy Uso. And he comes hobbling out. They don't explain why he's hobbling. He just hobbles out of a towel. And this is exactly what I would do now that I think about it. And I think Chris should actually do this match and retire. He should do a match in which he's beaten to a pulp by his best friend, who simply wants to be acknowledged as the Japanese Deathmatch Legend. And then Jake Hager should throw the towel in and say, yes, Luther, you are the Japanese Deathmatch Legend. Is that what you want?
If they don't do this, I'm going to be so disappointed. They're just going to do some generic tag team match. And now I want the Uso, Roman, Jericho, Luther parallels here. Luther told me that his plan is just to punch Chris Jericho in the face a lot. And I think that's a very good plan.
Okay, I've lost it. I'm sorry. This Dynamite, it was good. I don't know. What do you want me to say here, Jeremy? She's got off the rails. All I'm imagining is Jake Hager limping out and Luther's like sitting there, he's like flexing. Japanese Deathmatch Legend, just say it. He's turning.
He's pointing, he's going.
Okay. Dynamite. Did you think this was a good show, Jeremy? It was fine, right?
I don't remember any of it now.
Okay. So you had, I mean, the highlight for me was the FTR SCU match, because that team is very much their pace, right? It fits their style. It was a good fit. I thought they had a great TV match. Elsewhere, the Butcher was fun. The Butcher's like actually enjoyable for me now. Is this a consensus take? Am I allowed to say this?
Yeah, the Butcher had a good match with John Moxley.
Eddie Kingston was a bully to Bryce Remsburg, which was I'd imagine a very surreal segment. By the way, I love that Bryce was like, couldn't you just like call me during the week? Like, why are you doing this on television? I was like, yes. There's a lot. Finally, someone said that on a wrestling show. Why have you waited a week to pull me out here on television to confront me about my decision? So, I have nothing on Dynamite now, because all I'm imagining is Roman Reigns' version, the Luther version of Roman Reigns, the Tribal Chief. And I'm in awe of the fall. So I have nothing else on Dynamite. I'm sorry, people. It was good, I think, from what I can remember. I think it was good. Ricky Starks had a very good match with the Darby Allin. Should have won, but that's a different debate.
Curtain jerker Ricky Starks.
Oh, wow. Wow, we're taking shots all around today. Big show. Okay.
Look, if he wants to get back to the main event level, he can come on our show, and we'll get him in the main event. But you see, he abandons us, and he's doing curtain jerking matches, and he's losing.
Yeah. I want to find out who calls Tony Khan TK. Because
Aubrey Edwards.
Okay. Eddie's very insulted by this. He now mentions it in every interview. He at one point will say, or as the kiss ass is called him, TK, and he'll wink, or he'll just say directly, you know who you are. So I would like to know who this is, Eddie. Apparently it's Aubrey. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. I was listening to the AEW podcast this morning with Miro, and Aubrey Edwards just kept calling him TK. And ever since the Eddie Kingston promo, I'm like, oh, all right, well, there you go. I think it's a bunch of other people, too.
Yes.
Eddie's out here. He's a shooting Joe. He's shooting. Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
But Aubrey Edwards is the first person that popped in my mind, because I just heard her call him TK on this podcast this morning.
What an incredible build that would be. Eddie Kingston, Aubrey Edwards.
I mean, he's picking on referees, so maybe he picks on all the and Aubrey is the one who just stands up to him. And
that could work.
There you go.
Do we still think we're going to get a lights out match between Moxley and Eddie?
I don't know what they're doing at Full Gear with that, because they're doing the finals of this tournament now to crown a number one contender. I would have to imagine Omega. I feel like that finals is Omega and Hangman, right?
Yeah, I would guess so. Either that or Hangman will cost Kenny in the tournament is what could also happen, I think. And then you get a singles match as well as a different match, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could do that.
But they're doing this tournament. I mean, so far they only have Jungle Boy, Phoenix, and Omega announced. Like, Omega's the front runner of those three. I don't know what they're doing with Moxley. He's got the Archer match coming up. The Kingston stuff is seemingly where they're going for the time. Jericho's doing the MJF thing, so Cody's doing the stuff with Brody right now. There's still a lot of time. They still got a whole. I guess they only have like a month. So, look, I'll one up you, Joe. I'll one up you.
Okay.
Kingston, Moxley, Japanese Deathmatch Legend Luther, lights out, headline Full Gear with that, because Luther's taking out Jericho next week. He's gonna make Jericho acknowledge him as the Japanese Deathmatch. You can't go down from there. You can't just go back. Oh, Serpentico on AEW Dark. You gotta keep ascending. So he's got to be in this lights out match as the Japanese Deathmatch Legend.
I'm gonna one up you again. There's only one stipulation for a main event triple threat match between three hardcore legends, and that is, my friend, the Ready to Rumble triple cage match.
Look at this segue. Look at this. Look at this segue.
Now, you know, people don't believe it, but we are pros at this now. Even if the show may remain bad, how much better are we at? Hey, give us 10 years. This may be a good show. You never do know.
Our retro review this week is the triple cage match from WCW Slamboree 2000. Featuring David Arquette, Jeff Jarrett, and Diamond Dallas Page. We pivoted. If you were like, where's the monster truck talk? Watch product, folks. If you watch the Ready to Rumble review, you would see that we did the big swerve there, and we pivoted to the triple cage match. They did this match legitimately just because of Ready to Rumble. And look, you heard how much I loved Ready to Rumble on Tuesday. They sold me. I can't remember the last time I'd ordered a WCW pay-per-view before this event. When they said Triple Cage and they were bringing this to an actual WCW pay-per-view, I was like, sold. I'm buying this event. You have my money, WCW.
So I'm about to say something that may be a hot take. I don't know. Because I can't remember what matches we've done. I think this is the best match we've reviewed as the retro match. Like,
better than that random Alexa and Sasha match on Raw that I didn't watch.
No, but I forget that we did that. That doesn't count. Okay, here's the thing with this. And I have gripes. This is not a bad wrestling match.
No, it's fine.
And the idea and the notion, and I'm not trying to get a DDP yoga sponsorship here, but the notion that in 2000 there were wrestlers in the industry that were like, how good is that DDP guy? He has to lay his matches out while having worse matches than him on every single show is amazing. Because what stands out when you watch this, Jeremy, is, DDP has ideas of things they could do in this cage. God bless him, he plotted some stuff, and it's not a bad match. I like it. With that being said, as I watch Jeff Jarrett talk to Mean Gene, and I have no quotes, I should have a take on. Is this like the worst top guy for a big promotion, considering what else is out there in the history of wrestling? I know I like Jeff Jarrett, but he's horrifically bad at this time. And on the other channel, Dwayne Johnson is fighting Steve Austin and Triple H and The Undertaker and Kane and Kurt Angle and Chris Jericho. And meanwhile, here he is talking about slap nuts and all this good stuff. It's very sad.
He's telling Okerlund to choke on things. Yes, I did watch the Jeff Jarrett promo. I didn't have a quote from it either, but
it was very bad, wasn't it?
It wasn't good at all. Remember when we're just going completely off topic. Remember when WCW turned Juventud Guerrera into The Rock?
Yes.
The juicy juice.
Yes, that was much better. We should have watched that.
Yeah.
I didn't realise that this match was called the Ready to Rumble cage.
Yeah.
And I think that is glorious. I love that it's that on the nose.
Do you know the middle layer of this cage? Do you know what that was called?
Hardcore hell, right?
Yeah, hardcore. They made sure to mention that once or 50 times.
What I love is that when you watch the original WCW shows from when Buff was in, they're kind of cool because, like, Flair is a genius at making wrestling feel sport. Right? Like, he's very much captured, like, the heavyweight champ deal. So you watch these old, like, Ric Flair versus Vader, and Buff will be on the microphone. It's like, man, this is a cool moment. Let's get ready to rumble. And here he is, introducing David Arquette, and it could not be further away.
World champion David Arquette at that.
Yes. So I'm sure someone out there is listening to this and thinking, I don't know what the triple cage is, folks. Help me. How does one win a triple cage? I will point you to Tony Schiavone's very simple explanation, which goes as follows. The object is to battle through the first cage using a stepladder, up to the second cage, which is the hardcore cage, into the final cage, which is the guitar cage, actually called the guitar cage, up through that third cage and grab the world title belt, which is hooked above the third cage. Simple, right? It's very simple. There's a guitar cage, hardcore hell.
He should have just used Titus Sinclair's explanation from Ready to Rumble. The belt is at the top of the arena, and the only way to get there is to climb a cage, which is on top of another cage, which is on top of another cage. That was the explanation in Ready to Rumble.
In fairness, this is like one of my favourite little running deals with WCW. Is like War Games, I would say, is a pretty simple match. And when they would do a War Games match, they would have like 8 slides of information about what the match is. And then the cage door closes, and then 2 men enter, and then another man enters. It was bonkers every time they did that. So I have no issue. Jeff Jarrett is introduced as he is the man on a mission here to regain the championship. He is the man with the stroke. He is the chosen one. To which I ask you, is that the best introduction for someone undeserving a bit in the history of professional wrestling? Again, I like Jeff Jarrett. Just saying.
I don't know. There's probably worse. There's got to be indie wrestler bits who I guess it's all just a bit of.
Yes, this was not a bit.
Yeah,
this was very much on. This was like he is the chosen one. He's here on a mission. Take him seriously.
I'm just trying to be kind to Jeff Jarrett. You're burying this poor man right now.
I like Jeff Jarrett, but unfortunately...
You keep saying that, like, I like Jeff Jarrett, and then you just take shots at him. So I don't think... That's not how this works, Joseph.
There's elements to Jeff Jarrett I like, but unfortunately this particular portion of his career is all of the bad elements. I did say this is the best match review, Jeff, so don't get mad at me. It's fine. We have an interesting dynamic here early, Jeremy, right, where Arquette is, like, running away like a heel manager, and DDP is, like, protecting Arquette from Jeff, who is the actual heel, and he's being beaten up by the babyface who's protecting the babyface coward. This is very WCW 2000, but it's fine. Jeff and DDP have a fine match and sometimes insert David Arquette, is the way to sum this up. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
Okay. Tony Schiavone doesn't understand how films are made and suggests that not only did DDP and David Arquette become great friends, they lived in that free tier cage. They lived in it. Is his exact quote.
How do you not? How do you not know that they didn't live in the 3-tier cage?
I understand what he's trying to say here, but I love the idea of one of them like, hey, I'm going to stay in Hardcore Hell. I'll see you up there in the guitar cage. You can stay up there. That's what I enjoyed about it. They bleed everywhere. Somehow these two men still cared about their jobs. I have no clue, because no one else on these cards did, so God bless them.
They were going after the 30 pounds of gold.
Yes. True. Direct quote. And then 10 minutes into the match, after the rules have been explained in painful detail, Mark Madden suddenly snaps into motion and says, and I quote, "One thing we should point out, this may be a triple cage, but really there's 4 levels. You have to get on top of the 3rd cage to get the belt." Mark, we're fully aware of that. Like, I appreciate that he wasn't paying a lot of attention, but if there's one thing Tony Schiavone ensured I knew, it was that they had to get the cage. They had to get to the top of the cage in order to get the belt. But I appreciate that Mark, this finally clicked for him as he watched the heat segment. He stared at it, he said, oh my, there's 4. Actually 4 levels. So good on Mark for paying attention. They do, like, full ladder teasers, don't they? Like, they do this
yes.
and all it is for is to get to the hardcore.
Right, to get to the hardcore hell.
Okay, it sounds like I hate this, but I honestly don't. It's fine. There's the visual where the wall breaks in the hardcore hell is actually cool. Would you agree?
Yeah.
That was an actual cool moment.
Tony Schiavone was very freaked out. He thought the whole cage was about to collapse once the wall broke here as well.
And it sparks Mark Madden to ask, do you draw the line and not do this, or is this the time where you fling a man off the side of the cage? To which Tony Schiavone replies, direct quote, I think that sometimes you just forget where you are.
Do you think Tony forgot where he was during this match?
I think that was direct insight into Tony's mindset during these shows. Sometimes he just forgot where he was. He would hear Mark Madden repeating the rules and think, am I actually here? Is this an imagination of mine? But yes, Arquette begins to climb, and they may as well have dropped a flat banner from the ceiling that says heel turn alert. You know, DDP gives him a guitar. Mike Awesome shows up just to get diamond cards.
Yes.
Which was very on brand for Mike's time in WCW, bless him. I will say this, though, and this is the problem here, right? Like, as much as this seems awful contrived, if you don't know, the finish is Arquette turns heel, of course, on DDP. Yeah, Ultimate Swerve, hits him with the guitar. I have to say this. The audience goes berserk when Arquette is climbing the cage. They then get even more insane when DDP and Jeff are doing a race to the guitar cage, which is an incredible sentence in itself. And then when Arquette turns, it's like pandemonium for like 15 seconds. I have no clue how.
Wait. What do you mean you have no clue how? David Arquette, one of the biggest stars in the business, should have won an Oscar, headlined Ready to Rumble, married to Courtney Cox, who was on some show that people have heard of. I don't recall the name of it. David Arquette's a big deal, okay? So the fans are invested into this David Arquette, Diamond Dallas Page relationship as well. The relationship also, these two men live together in this triple cage. All right, they were bunking in this triple cage for months. So the fans they could not believe that Arquette would have the audacity to turn his back on Diamond Dallas Page.
What's amazing is the first half of what you said there is almost directly what Mark Madden does. Right? He does the spiel about... So what happens is Arquette turns and the announcement booth, Hudson just begins to scream no, which is amazing for many reasons, because Hudson always is like so stilted because he doesn't actually care. Of course, why would he? So he's screaming no, and Schiavone appears to just vanish for about 20 seconds. You don't hear anything from Tony, and I assume this is him preparing himself and trying to build the courage to actually ask what's going on here. Right? So what happens is what you just did, the exact bit you just did, Madden does. He's like, he's the best actor ever. Courtney Cox does the whole spiel. And I'm looking at the time left in the show, and there is 50 seconds left, and Canyon's still not arrived. 50 seconds. Canyon appears, throws one punch, gets beaten up, and launched off of the first tier. Right?
Yeah, they're on top of the first cage, yeah.
Literally, this all happens in the final minute of the program.
Yeah.
So, Russo here, bless him, he has managed to take the heat away from his own swerve by doing a full-on stunt bump, like out of absolutely nowhere. The crowd is suddenly, no one cares about Arquette and Jeff Jarrett. They're like, oh my god, what just happened to Canyon? I know that there's like real kind of this got real controversy, right? Because this was the arena where with Owen, and that sucks. I don't think that anyone intended for that to be like, you know, a part of the fault. But taking that totally away, you do not follow a heel turn up with a man being launched on the top of a
So let me pose this idea to you, Joseph. Let me pose this to you. Mike Awesome comes out. As you said, he just kind of gets diamond cut. What if Mike Awesome, he doesn't get diamond cut? He actually gets one over on Paige. It's a beatdown. Canyon comes out. He saves Paige, but then Awesome tosses him off during the match. Then Awesome gets diamond cut. Then you just go to the finish. Is that better or worse than what they did?
I think it's equally bad. I can't. I'm not sure.
You don't think that like the David Arquette heel turn, Jeff Jarrett winning the title, just completely overshadows a man that just fell and has a broken back, as explained by Tony Schiavone, is better or worse than the man falling and having a broken back overshadowing the heel turn and the world title?
I would rather have done the stunt bump with like 10 minutes left of the match, if I had to do it. And then I could have let people recover from poor Canyon breaking his back, and then swerve them again. I guess would be the idea. I don't know. You are correct. The quote is, "Oh my God, we need help. He broke his back." Tony, quick on the diagnosis. He's seen it before. He says, "Bro, his back is gone. Finished." He can't believe we're going off the air this way. It's truly something. I will say this match, as a match, is fine. And they do as good a job as they possibly can, Jeff and DDP. Poor Arquette is in it, and he's doing what he can. But the idea that they looked at everything they had here, including 3 cages and David Arquette doing a heel turn, and said, we need a little bit more here, I feel. We need something else. I mean, that kind of captures it. But for WCW 2000...
Here's the thing. I think when you have the 3 cage kind of thing, and look, everyone saw the movie. I assume not only everyone watching this pay-per-view, not only everyone in the audience.
Everyone in the world.
Yes, everyone in the world saw this movie. They saw Diamond Dallas Page fall from the top tier in the movie down through three roofs and into the ring, and you know, it was fine. He got up, he walked away with some help, but they saw that. They needed something that could be similar to that. So I think they needed some type of stunt bump for this.
You're probably right, to be honest. Like, I'm trying to imagine your mindset when ordering the show. Like the WCW 2000 crowd at this point, like they were after a stunt bump. I agree with you. This is actually, I would suggest that in the whole grand landscape of bad things that happened that year in WCW, this is actually probably on like the good side of that scale.
Are you defending Vince Russo putting the title on David Arquette?
That's exactly what I'm doing. Yeah, that is 100% what I intended to say. Thank you for clearing that up, Jeremy. Yes, that's what I was doing.
Vince is the celebration. The celebration he's having right now. He was very disappointed after Tuesday when I praised Ready to Rumble and would not go full marks on being like, yeah, that Arquette decision, that was the right call. He was I got very nasty DMs from him. He was like, what are we doing here? And I said, don't worry, let it play out, brother. Let it play out. I got the swerve planned for you. And now he's watching this. He's like, I knew it. I knew I could trust these guys to defend me. They swerved me. They swerved the Swerve Master. But he's doing the pump right now.
Is that a Russoism? Well, it was incredible. You like freelanced a quote for him there. What are we doing here?
Yeah,
Is that Russo?
I don't know.
That was strong. That's fine. I thought you was going full Sharp for a second. Anyway, nonetheless, we have a big topic. We've saved the main event.
Wait. I mean, we have more topics. What are we watching next week? Are we doing monster trucks?
Oh yes, I thought I was established. My apologies. Yes. Right. So it's October now, right? Yeah. So I think this is not me requesting anything, Jeremy. I'm just saying. I think we should try to do a month of Havoc matches. Personally.
Oh, you really want the electrified cage match? Yeah, I do too. So, okay, we're on the same page, yeah.
There's many Halloween Havoc gems. There's the one where there's a fake Sting, which I would like to find too, which I forget. It's him and Sid, I believe. Okay. Which is very fun also. So we'll do that. Next week, we're going to do the monster truck and the match itself, because I like to see the Yeti. That's okay.
Okay.
So, yes.
All right.
What's the main event?
I mean, we have something after the main event. We have a lights out match.
Yes.
All right, main event. Joseph, a couple weeks ago, because Denise Salcedo retweeted a tweet of mine that said, if she retweets this, Joseph will review this Taylor Swift performance. You did it of Betty at the AMC Awards. You liked the song.
Yes.
On the show a couple weeks ago, I said, well, why don't you review the trilogy? She did 3 songs. It's different perspectives. It's August, it's Betty, and it's Cardigan. I sent you the songs. You listened to them. What do you have to say about this epic trilogy?
So I have many takes. I think Betty is the best song of the 3.
Okay, that's
my
fair.
opinion.
I agree.
Both sonically and in terms of content, Jeremy. I'm going with Betty as number 1 here. In my mind, Cardigan and Betty are like pivotal to each other. If you listen to them, if you listen to Betty after listening to Cardigan, it makes Betty much better, I think. I look at August as a slight spin-off almost. Because August, the character in August is much more, she's a part of the story, but she's less pivotal to me in terms of perspective. That's just me, okay? It's also my least favourite song in terms of sound. So, let's map things out. Jeremy, I know you're the expert here, so please step in whenever I'm out of bounds. But Cardigan is sung as Betty, correct?
Yes.
And there's a lot of nice contrast between that and Betty, and I'll get into those as we get to Betty later. But this really is about giving hope by young love, the assumption that you know nothing, you are naive, and eventually poor Betty is cheated on, which is very, very sad. She is aware that it will scar her, but she's also aware that he will come back eventually, which we will get to later. Jeremy, anything else to add on the opening of this trilogy, Cardigan?
No, you nailed it with Cardigan. Continue.
Okay. August, the reason I see this as a spin-off is I think it's the least impactful in terms of sound, but it's a nice kind of nostalgic sort of glory days summer love deal. And this, of course, is the young lady that the affair was with, right? Because he said, he was never hers. It slipped away. It was sort of inconsequential to, what's the gentleman's name? James. It was inconsequential to James. This, to me, is less pivotal in terms of the arc and with the layers. But it does add its own layer because we get a different perspective. But it is my least favourite. Basically, it's kind of looking back at a mere romantic fling, an infatuation, dare I say, Jeremy, that James had with this young lady. Your thoughts?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay. Finally, Betty, we did this last week, but I have more layers now. So, James is very regretful. Right? He's pondering not only his apology, that'd be a simple surface level idea, but we delve deeper in, and he begins to ponder how Betty would react to his apology. Right? And then this builds to when he actually acts upon it. There's a really cool deal here, Jeremy, where, the lyric in Cardigan about they assume you know nothing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, James says, I'm only 17, I don't know anything.
Mm-hmm.
He refuses responsibility, right? It's a contrast, direct. He blames the young lady. He talks about how he basically had no choice in the matter almost, right? He's like, he got lured in. And then we end up on the porch as she expected. Yes, and he acts upon his plan, but we do not find out, right? He just sort of apologises. He shows up to apologise as he hoped to, and after pondering how she'd react, we never find out how she did react. I assume that'll be on the next project. I sure hope so, Jeremy. I would like to know what happened with Betty and James.
I hope we get an answer on the next album as well, but that is the genius of Taylor Swift, is where you can't give it all away at once. Got to make the people wait. I like your breakdown of this. I'm gonna rechange your name to Artistic Ace Analyst because that was exceptional.
I felt that I had a responsibility with that segment. I felt that people were expecting me to come in and be like, yeah, it was fine, because I didn't have a lot on B, right? And people may have been let down by that. I said, I'm going to dive in here. Let's go layers. Let's go art analyst, Artistic Ace Analyst, Joseph James. And I think I did my best. I'm glad that you agree with my perception of that art, Jeremy. Very glad of that.
Yeah. Do you think Bray Wyatt is the Taylor Swift of pro wrestling?
In the something very surface level can be made something much grander just based purely on assumption. Is that what the idea is, Jeremy?
More or less, yeah.
Yes. Yes. But then here's my question for you. Who is then Eric Rowan, Luke Harper, and Braun Strowman in the Taylor Swift universe?
Oh, okay, here you go. I got this, Joseph. Randy Orton is August, essentially, right? Okay. That's the fling. Right? Braun. I think Bray is Betty. Yes. Bray is Betty, and then Braun doesn't make sense because Braun wasn't really around during the whole Orton stuff. But Braun, I think, is the biggest kind of infatuation here.
Interesting, because Harper and Rowan both split away and then come back, don't they?
Yeah.
Remember? So they would be coming back to the porch and apologising.
Yeah, Harper and Rowan make more sense as being James. Because they're gone now, I was trying to keep it within people who are still in WWE.
Yes.
But yeah, I do think so. Harper and Rowan would be James, Betty would be Bray, and Randy Orton would be August.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who's Alexa going to be is the big question. Once we get to see what the layers are with the Alexa Bray thing, we can branch and have a podcast. Very exciting times ahead.
We could tell the story of Bray Wyatt through Taylor Swift lyrics. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, you could, but I'll happily join you for the adventure. I'm sure I'm fine with that. Yes, we'll do that.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that at all. That sounds like hell. Do you want to review the entire Folklore album next, Joseph?
I'll listen to it. Here's what I'll do. I'll listen to it when I'm doing something, and I'll make notes if something stands out to me. Okay. I'll do that. I'm not promising anything because this did take something out of me. I dive pretty deep here. I was really pondering things, but I take my job seriously as an Artistic Ace Analyst, and I don't want to promise that I'll do a full album review, but I will listen to the full album for greater context, understanding, and appreciation of the layers. So,
okay. Yes. You won't get all of the layers in that album because there's a lot of callbacks, Joe, and it's not a thing of she's not gonna give you the mask, okay? She's not giving you the sheet mask to put on and all that stuff. You gotta really know to know, okay?
It's like back in the olden days, Jeremy, when a new fan would be like, I just watched Tanahashi Okada, I thought it was just fine, and we'd be like, you have to watch the first 35 matches to really appreciate it. Do you ever think about watching the first 100 matches I had to really get it? It's like that, basically. That's fine.
Yeah, you gotta listen to literally the first song she ever did all the way to this one to get all the layers and the folklore. All right.
Maybe in like a year I'll have that covered. We'll see. I'll try and steadily work on that. That sounds fun.
All right. We've only got like 12 minutes. We actually did a lot of wrestling today, amazingly.
We did.
I mean, we have as long as we want, but I like to keep the shows to a certain length. Basketball, the Sixers hired Doc Rivers. What are your thoughts?
Hang on. Calm down.
No. This show will air 5 hours from now. Within this time frame, the Sixers will have hired Doc Rivers.
Okay, seriously, production meeting taking place on air now. Have I said anything terrible about Doc Rivers on this show? I haven't, right?
I don't think so. No. We mainly threw daggers at Paul George and a little bit at Kawhi Leonard. Not so much Doc Rivers. Probably deserved him.
What I'm about to say is going to produce great insight into where I'm at right now. Doc Rivers is the best option for us. I'm
over D'Antoni.
Here's my thing, okay? In terms of my interest, D'Antoni's number one. Because I just think it would be weird and fun to see. And I also think it's like a guarantee they make crazy trades. However, I am almost certain that it would be the end of the Embiid deal. Like, I just can't see it. I think Doc is the best option of a coach that I'm aware of, because I don't know, who's like underneath as the assistant and stuff. I can't judge that. But the coaches we're aware of that are available, I would suggest he's the best option to take the roster almost exactly as it is with like a couple changes and make them a competent team. I also get the sense that Doc would do a better job of like, maybe not in like spotlighting them on the court, but just keeping Simmons and Embiid in check, whereas I sense with D'Antoni that could get a little bit out of hand too. So I would suggest that if, when this airs, Doc Rivers is the new 76ers coach, there will be no grimace here at Hulbert headquarters. I am ready to grin. I'm ready to embrace Doc. He seems like a nice man. He has that funny voice. And I'm ready to get on board the Rivers. The issue is, though, Jeremy, is the Sixers local announcer refuses to call him Doc because there's only one doctor in Philadelphia. And that could be an incredible plot point if he becomes the new full-time head coach of our team. So that's the only... I think it makes sense, genuinely, I do.
Do you think it hurts the Chris Paul trade? I don't know if Chris Paul wants to play for Doc Rivers.
It does go that.
Okay.
Let's be honest, man. We're going to trade Horford and Matisse for like Buddy Hield and convince ourselves we're now like a championship team. We're not getting Chris Paul. That's too fun. We're going to do something like that. It'll be better. Doc will shout a lot. He'll call Embiid fat. We'll celebrate 75 wins championship. Come at us.
I do think Doc. I think Doc is a good coach. What he did in the Clippers with the Clippers, not the best reflection on him. Like, he had a lot of talented teams, couldn't get out of the first round a lot of times, blew multiple 3-1 leads, just not great for Doc Rivers. I do think he is a very good leader, even if sometimes X's and O's. See, this is the problem. His X's and O's, his rotations, I mean, right. He was hell-bent on playing Montrezl Harrell instead of Zubac in that Nuggets series, and it completely killed them. I think as a leader, he is good, and I think kind of for Philadelphia right now, they almost need better leadership than they need X's and O's and rotation stuff.
Yeah, I agree. And also, the other kind of X factor deal, which I mean, you shouldn't have taken into account, but you do, is like Tobias Harris' best basketball was played under Doc, right? Yeah. Like, he actually had Tobias handling the ball and shooting some threes. So, look, the truth is, we're not trading Tobias anytime soon. Like, he's here. You can't just sort of ignore him. So that helps too. He feels like a better fit for Embiid than D'Antoni did. I think he'll help Simmons as a floor general. Like, I think, look, is it like the kind of announcement where you're going to be like, oh my God, we've got Doc, thank the Lord? No, it's not.
Why aren't the Sixers? So look, the Lakers are about to win the championship. I just assume they're going to sweep at this point. The other team is Miami, another very good team. Why isn't Tobias Harris the LeBron Butler? Embiid is the Davis / Adebayo. And then you've got Ben Simmons, who's better than whoever the third player is on the next team. All right, I guess Ben Simmons. That's unfair to Ben. Ben Simmons can be the LeBron Butler. I mean, that's a better comparison. I don't know why I went to Tobias Harris. Embiid is the big, and then Tobias Harris is a better third guy than all. Why isn't this team winning the title, Joseph?
I know that you're doing a half bit here. I understand that. But I do think that the East is still wide open, and I think the Heat is a good example of the Heat is. Like, we agreed they're super well coached, and Butler's very good, Bam's become a monster, but like, it's wide open. It's not like, as much as the Sixers contracts suck, it's not like that team's like an unfathomable East winner. It's just they looked at it this year because they sucked, right? Like, I think Brett's a fine coach. I'm not dunking on Brett, but sometimes you just need the new coach like Joel, right? You need the new voice. It can help a lot. I do think in my most optimistic universe, there's a world in which just finally having a new voice in there, like, they look like the team people thought they'd be a year ago. Does that make sense? Like, I agree. That. I think Horford's going to be tough, but I also wouldn't. This may sound silly, but I wouldn't do the deal where it's like, let's just trade Horford for no one. Horford's a luxury as backup centre, but it's still something. So I think there's a world in which the team's good. It just didn't exist this year. and I'm not sure Doc's the answer. But when I look at who's out there, it's like it seems like Doc's the obvious fit to me. I've got to be honest. That's where I'm at right now, which may be very sad. I'm not sure. But that's where I'm at.
I think having a different voice in there will certainly help. Again, I think Doc Rivers, he's at least going to go in there. People respect Doc. He's going to get everyone kind of in line. He might be just as frustrating with his coaching decisions on the court, but it seemed like with the Brett Brown stuff, he did not have control of the locker room.
Exactly.
And Doc will he'll have control of the locker room.
Yeah, and that was my fear with D'Antoni, is like I just could see a world in which he came in and was just like even more chill and blasé with the guys. And I don't think that's what Joe and Ben need. So I'm almost alarmingly excited about Doc Rivers. What's happened to me? Where am I right now? We just spoke about Taylor Swift after I praised the Triple Cage match, and now I'm saying I'm pro Doc Rivers. Here we are, folks. This is what this show has led me to. Very sad times.
Doc Rivers is the Sixers head coach. Do you think the Lakers sweep?
No, I don't. I think it'll be 5 again, actually. I mean, I don't know. They could, right? If Dragic is out now, so...
Do you regret that you were a coward and did not take the Lakers over the field?
What was I going to win if I did take it?
I was going to sing Sasha Banks' theme.
Oh, no, not all. I don't need to see you sing that song. That would not have been a victory for me in any way. I would have just been on the clip when you inevitably tweeted it and was like, here I am. I'd have just been on that clip. Not a victory for me. So, no, I do not regret it.
I've been doing a lot of singing lately. I don't know why people put up with this.
It's part of the character now, pal.
Yeah.
It's evolution, character development, you know?
I guess.
I do enjoy that, like, every round the Lakers have gone through, we've all kind of done the old, like, dangerous team. Got to be kept. Dame. Who's going to guard Dame? Huh? Harden. Who's going to... And then when it all is said and done and they win this, in 5 years we're all going to be like, yeah, that was easy. How good was those teams, right? Like, they're so inevitably going to happen. So,
yeah, at the end of the day, they had LeBron James and Anthony Davis.
We overthought it.
Right. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to.
As much as we fall in love with the role players and by the way, I must say, I do think Caldwell Pope has been better than I expect him to be in the playoffs. Like, he's actually been very serviceable as like a 3-and-D guy. They're all just fine, but the truth is, you have a duo that good, it doesn't matter, right? Like, that's the point. And I think we all got way too caught up in all this other cool stuff, and like the Clippers have 2 sick Man of the Year contenders. Like, it meant nothing in the end. So, like, without getting ahead of myself, because I want to make a fool of myself here, you've gone out on a limb. You said it's done.
Yeah, it's over.
I'm not saying it's done, but it's probably done.
It's
okay,
over.
That's the truth. It's probably over. Yes.
Yeah, it's over. All right, everybody. I have so much to plug. Saturday is the TEW Draft, the debut of our new universe. The draft episode has been taped. It'll be up. I'm working on getting a graphic for that. The Fightful Graphics team is putting that together. So the name of the promotion is, what is it, Joe?
BP Dub.
Yeah, Booty Pro Wrestling. BP Dub. I've told the graphical team I want the O's and booty to be butt cheeks. So that's all I want out of the graphic. Yes. We're going.
So I didn't realize you were going that far with the graphics. Because I've used... Oh, this is off air talk. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. But yes, that is going to be quite the project. So.
All right. So that's Saturday. That'll be the draft. We hope to do a live stream, first booking episode, maybe next Friday. We'll see what Joseph's schedule is like. So that's next Friday. Friday night, I'm streaming SmackDown vs. Raw 2009 after the SmackDown post show. So if anybody wants to watch me and Joel Pearl play that, you can. Are you trying to recall which game that was?
I'm very confused that this is the thing you're doing. I'm excited for you. I don't know.
I'm very confused that I'm allowed to do this shit as well. Are you kidding me?
Is this a good game? Is it a good SmackDown vs. Raw game?
Yeah, I think. I don't know. I haven't played it in forever, but we're going to play it.
What is the one with Bobby Lashley on the cover? Do you know the answer to that question?
No.
I do not.
This is the one with, I think, Michaels and Triple H on the cover.
Oh, God.
So I'm doing that on Friday. Saturday, I'm streaming with Brian Rose of Wrestling Observer. I don't know what we're playing, but we're going to stream. Sunday, I'm doing the post-takeover show with Phil Lindsay. So me and Phil are going to be reviewing TakeOver. I had no idea what's on that show. NXT is banned. Hopefully it's a good show. Next Tuesday, we're reviewing a movie with Dolph Ziggler and Rusev. Here's the big announcement, folks. Next Thursday, the distraction comes at you live at 6 p.m. Eastern. Usually the show goes up at 7 p.m. Eastern. We're going forward an hour. What are you pointing to yourself for?
I'm not. It's an inch.
Okay.
There was no point.
You were pointing to yourself.
There was no gap between the finger and I.
Okay.
Carry on.
All right. We're going live at 6 p.m. Eastern time for the Distraction Draft Special. All right?
Yes.
4 brands, 4 people. Myself, Joseph Hulbert, from CBS Sports, Jack Crosby, friend of the show, been on before. From the Robert O'Neill section of Twitter, Robert O'Neill is the 4th person on this. We're all going to be wearing hats. We're going to just be drafting WWE superstars, creating our own little universe here. If you've ever seen, I'm pretty sure this was the basis for Joseph's idea, one of the 5 a.m. text messages.
Yes.
If you've ever seen Inside the NBA at the All-Star break, they do hey, all-time draft, and everybody's available, and Charles Barkley just picks Allen Iverson. When Michael Jordan and all these other people on the board, he's Allen Iverson. That's who I'm going with. I think that was the crux of the idea, right?
Yes, it isn't all-time though, right? It is,
right, it's today. Yeah,
the folks are on the board next week. It's something I hope, and this is a big hope because this could be a terrible show, I don't know. I would like for it to become a marquee moment in the Distraction calendar. I think it could be fun. If you don't know who Robert O'Neill is, you either don't have Twitter, or you follow him and are friends with him, or most likely you have blocked him because he's an unbearable Twitter presence. That's who we're bringing on the show. I couldn't responsibly bring him on as an actual guest. However, him as a draft head, I felt was a good fit. So he is on, and I want to make this clear to Robert now. Robert, if you're watching this show, you cannot pick Brock Lesnar. He is not under contract. He's a free agent. He's fighting for the pure title next week. Sorry for the spoiler. Okay? So, we'll make it clear now. If you don't like Robert O'Neill, I don't either. I don't know why he's coming on the show, but this is my idea. I'm sorry.
You can pick Brock Lesnar, Robert. I don't care.
No Brock Lesnar. He's banned.
Sean has no idea that these are our guests. He doesn't listen to the show. But once I tweet it out, he's gonna be I'm gonna get a DM and just be
yes.
What are you guys doing? What is happening here?
It's on me. This one's on me.
That's what I'm gonna tell. I'm gonna tell him. I'm gonna be message Joseph. Talk to him. You're gonna get fired for real.
It's a very, very bad idea, but I sense this could become an all-timer. No wrestling talk. Just 4 men in their draft boards.
Yes.
Plotting away and burying each other's picks for probably 90 minutes, I would assume. I don't know how many people we're picking, what brands we're representing. None of that matters to me. But we are going to wear caps. I agree that's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, yes, look forward to that. Look forward to the Dolph Ziggler. No, don't even look for that. That'll be there. Watch that if you want. But look forward to the draft. The draft's going to be very exciting.
The Dolph Ziggler? What is Dolph? Oh, the Dolph Ziggler movie. I thought you were talking about Dolph Ziggler and Bobby Roode being Banks and Bayley. I thought you were calling back to a previous segment we did on this show. All right, everybody. That's all for the plugs. We've gone a little bit over time. I apologize. Follow Joe on Twitter at Joel Hulbert 5. Follow me on Twitter at Jeremy Lambert 88. We're out. Joseph, the Chubby Chief, will be back on Saturday.